This week, we interview Washington University football coach and Washington University alumnus, Aaron Keene. Enjoy the show. Unfortunately, for reasons out of my control, I was unable to be present for our interview with Aaron Keene. Chris, take it away.
Huge welcome to Coach Aaron Keene. Coach Keene was announced as the Washington University in St. Louis football head coach on January 6, 2020. Keene is a 1994 WashU graduate and former assistant coach and enters his sixth season at the helm of the Bears program. Keene has over 25 years of collegiate football coaching experience at different levels. Prior to Eastern Michigan, he spent 3 seasons at Minnesota State University. Keene joined the staff in 2011 as offensive coordinator before serving as acting head coach in 2012 and 2013. He was named the American Football Monthly NCAA Division II National Coach of the Year in 2012. Coach Keene spent 3 seasons as the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks, and receivers coach at the University of Nebraska-Omaha, and 5 seasons as head coach at Illinois College. A Cheyenne, Wyoming native, Keene received his bachelor's degree from WashU in 1994 and his master's degree from the University of Missouri in 1997. Keene was a 3-year starter at quarterback for WashU and ranks 4th in school history in passing yards and 5th in total offense. In 1991 and 93, he was an All-American and All-Conference selection. You had very successful tenure at Eastern Michigan, big Division I program, and then have come back to WashU. In your observation, what are some of the big differences, and are they growing between the D1 programs and the D3, especially with NIL and everything else?
Yeah, it's interesting. I left Eastern Michigan in the Division I level right as the transfer portal was coming about, and so we were dealing with it as a staff. Some of the questions about if a student athlete is interested in jumping in the portal, how do you handle them on your own roster? Do you just cut them loose? Is their scholarship null and void? Everything that every staff in America was trying to figure out at that point. The NIL was not in existence yet. I felt like it was a blessing that I was at Division III at that point.
Yeah.
Because I really think the biggest difference now is that, like every staff in America for a number of years, I can recruit right now a young man and count on him making a 4-year commitment to our program. We can coach him hard and coach with passion and not worry about upsetting somebody and they're going to join the portal the next day and get out of your program. It's refreshing to be at a place where it's kind of old school football, if you will. And the old school recruiting model and program development. I really enjoy that part of coaching, to be able to build a roster through recruiting high school kids and develop their talents and watch them grow and mature and become really good football players by the time they leave your place.
Yeah, for the longest time, it's always felt like Division III football was still the most pure form of college football. Even before all these changes with NIL, that everyone's having to spend time in the classroom and everything else. And in general, they are there for 4 years. So do you see as these differences continue? Because if I was at UNC as the registrar when the academic/athletic scandal broke out there, that sort of stuff seems like it's way in the past. Like that was one of the last big academic scandals that probably will happen in college sports. It's at the Division I level. With the recruiting and the NIL and all, it just seems like a totally different game. Do you see it to be being more difficult for D3 coaches to move up into that world, or is it just something you'll learn and figure? If you're a coach, you can transition. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's an interesting question because I don't, I'm kind of going the other direction, coming back from
Exactly.
Division
Yep.
I down to Division III, and don't know that I have the aspirations to go back up. But I do think one thing Division I coaches would look at is just the recruiting aspect of it still. The tough part of going from Division III to Division I is just selling a head coach on the fact that you can recruit into a scholarship program and you know how that
Right.
works.
Yeah.
And now I would imagine some Division III programs can obviously provide some proof that they've recruited in the transfer portal, had some luck with that. Can provide some proof for them. In the end, being able to move around in a staff just kind of comes down to connections and who you know and who knows you that can provide a great reference, and so they can see your coaching style. You care about relationships, and you match some of the philosophical things that head coach might be looking for.
Yeah, and I always wondered about that. I mean, in my profession, I look online, and if there's an opening, I apply. Is it more of a world of contacts when you're trying to move from, any program, Division I, Division III? I mean, because you don't see University of Nebraska head coaching job open, that people
Yeah.
from the outside are applying for. What's that process like?
It's interesting. When I was a young coach, I used to send out resumes to different places you'd see advertised in need of a certain position, coach or coordinator, head coach, whatever it was. But you learn very quickly it is made through connections. I mean, there are a lot of coaches who won't hire an individual unless they know that person coming into their program, or they know someone who knows them who can provide a great reference.
Right.
And a lot of the hiring is done well before an advertisement would ever hit the pages of some source that you might see
Right.
as a young coach. So yeah, it is. I think it's like every profession, though. When you become a person in charge, you're looking for people you trust and
Right.
have relationships with, and that you want to build something special with.
So apologies if I every once in a while throw in reference to my Cincinnati Bengals. Tom and I go at it. He's a big Steelers fan. I'm a Bengals fan. You've coached in multiple areas on the team, but huge success on the offensive side of the ball. How difficult is it when you're moving from, either one program to another, or you have a turnover in the players? I mean, how much is it about change, or how much is it just making sure that these players can understand and learn your offense and how it plays together? Or do you have to adjust based on what talent you have that given year?
Yeah, I think any good coach would tell you they're going to build their offensive, defensive system, special team system around the talents and abilities of the players they have in their program. It's hard to go in and force a system on people. Now, every coach has things they believe in
Yeah,
from a pass game standpoint or run game, and so you try and fit those things in, and you're hoping that the talents and abilities of those players is going to kind of fit that system. I think
right,
the other interesting part of bringing a new offense in particular, and I learned this as a coach at several stops, right? If you bring a playbook in, you're one person who knows that terminology. If you can adapt some of the terminology that exists at an institution, for instance, becoming an offensive coordinator at Nebraska Omaha, there was a head coach who'd called plays for years and had a system in place. And I came in and installed a completely new system of terminology because I was comfortable calling that offense, and it made
right,
it very challenging for our players to learn that system, because learning a football playbook is like learning a foreign language.
right.
And so you slow down the players so much when they're trying to think about things and conceptualize, and you're causing them to play so much slower and not be able to express their natural ability.
Right.
So I've, several other stops, I've just kind of adapted what I do to the terminology that exists in the program, try and make it easier on the players. And then, I've got to do some learning as we go.
That's the other thing about D1 is the insane number of transfer, like constantly meshing those players together into a cohesive unit. Like you said, learning the same language, learning about each other, and learning what the overall culture is, and then being free enough, as you said, to use their talent and not be a half step slow because they're thinking too much about it. So
There's so many things that go into being a good football player, being a good athlete in any sports program. And, the talent is a part of it, but having that trust in coaches
right.
to be able to play off that relationship and know that you're doing the right things and be able to play with confidence is such a huge thing.
Again, I know that you have a broad background in coaching various aspects of offense and defense. So how much trust do you have to put into your offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, especially defense, because you have an offensive philosophy. I assume you bring in a coach who has that has a philosophy that you support. big moment in the game, defense. I mean, is that complete trust in the defensive coordinator? Do they run certain things by the head coach in those moments, or is this just that interplay that happens when you have guys around you that you trust?
Yeah, I think every head coach is going to have their own style and maybe tied into one side of the football a little bit more. I'm an offensive coach and
Yeah,
I'm an offensive coordinator, so a lot of my attention on game day is spent towards the offense and figuring out what we're
sure.
going to do in the next drive. I think it's essential for me to have a staff on the defensive side of the ball that I trust to be able to make the right calls and make the right adjustments. And we'll talk about things during the course of the game. I probably screw them up more than I need to because I dig into things. But I think that's a fun part of developing a staff, building a staff is have people that you trust and be able to turn them loose
Right,
and do their job. I learned that from Larry Kimbaum. You know, when I was a young coach making a million mistakes for him,
right.
and then learned more about it as I became a head coach for the first time at Illinois College, and then had an opportunity to jump on different staffs and see how they all work and how you can be successful. But I think that the eye-opening experience for me was being, promoted to a head coaching position at Minnesota State University, where I was the offensive coordinator. And so we were kind of short as far as personnel was concerned on our coaching staff, kind of making that switch during the two-a-day camp. And
Yeah.
so I had no choice but to kind of lean on the defense coordinator we had. Now he was a tremendous coach, Joe Klanderman, who's the defense coordinator at Baylor University now. So I was really, really fortunate to be around good people and could see what they were doing. And I could just, mess around with the offense and try and make us a little bit better.
Yeah, and I never complete my thoughts, as you'll see if you listen to me. It was, but the Bengals head coach calls all his plays. He has an offensive coordinator, and they do well, but they've gone through now a couple defensive coordinators. Just wondering how that dynamic works there. So Tom and I have this thing where our website is the colors of, right now it's the Steelers and has been. Whoever has the better regular season record, we get to choose the colors. I have not had the choice since we started the podcast. So
You've got
um,
the better quarterback, so you've got a great shot.
I got a shot this year.
Yeah.
We'll see. And also a quarterback who's making the team make changes that they're not comfortable with, which the Bengals are pretty old school. That's not a compliment to the Bengals. We had Coach Kinbaum on a couple seasons ago. I'm curious, what are some of the big lessons you learned that you carry with you to this day from Coach Kinbaum?
Well, I think the biggest one is he's such a believer in a positive mental attitude. And it's something that, we would break every team huddle with PMA, when I was a player. And I've told him this. I thought it was corny when I was a player, and, went along with it. But the older I got, and then certainly as I graduated and got into my profession, you get into having a wife and having kids, you just realize how important attitude is.
Yeah.
And I just kind of, started to realize how he had made me a more positive person. It affected how I, attack challenges in my life, whether it's personal or professional. And as I went through the interview process to be a head coach, something they remarked on was just the positive nature of what I was doing, and it all went back to Larry Kimbaum and lessons that I learned during my football experience here. So it was kind of neat when I came back as the head coach here 6 years ago. The team broke their huddle for the first time when I was out on the field, and they broke it to PMA. I didn't have to push it; it just still existed, and so I let it go. It's pretty natural, and I love it. I think it's a lesson that I can still use and push on the roster that I'm in charge of now, and it's something that Larry Kimbaum started.
I know WashU is changing football conferences next year, I believe. What are some of the challenges and opportunities you see with that, like new rivalries, and how do you prepare your team for an entirely new conference schedule if you worry about that thing in the beginning of the season?
Yeah, it's been an interesting process. We've been, I guess it's probably about 8 years we're in the CCIW. And so, players in our program, coaches, administrators, everybody associated with the program kind of get used to some of the opponents you have, the locations, certainly in the travel that exists and all the logistics, but you have expectations of what that team's going to be like. And I think that can be really dangerous for our players. And that's something we try and, break those expectations every year. You want to kind of worry about yourself a little bit more than your opponent, and stuff that coaches preach in every program, but it remains a challenge. It's really tough to get the players to focus on those right things when they have certain vision or expectation of what that opponent is. And so the exciting thing now is we're going to have 9 opponents who are completely new to our guys. They have no
Yeah.
idea what they're all about. And so my anticipation is we're going to see some great football from our guys because they don't know what they're facing, and they're going to come out and play really well each week. And
Right.
so that's what we'll preach to our guys, and that's the expectation that we'll have. I think the other nice thing is, our travel is going to be a little bit different. When I played at Washington University, we were making flights all over the country to
Mhm.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Cleveland, Ohio, and Colorado Springs, and San Antonio, Texas, and that was a part of the experience. And it's certainly a part of the experience for the rest of our sports who play in the University Athletic Association. And so, we're going to have longer trips, but we're going to have some flights that are associated with that, which will be a little bit different experience for our football players. The highlight of our trip going up to Chicago is always stopping at Wally's Truck Stop in Pontiac, Illinois. And when that's the highlight of your trip, you might have some problems. So we're looking forward to some bigger highlights in this new conference.
So are you at all concerned? WashU is obviously a premier academic institution, and I've read, I mean, your emphasis on balancing the academic and the athletic, I mean, with these bigger trips, everything else, how do you continue to instill that culture that academics is as important as what they accomplish on the football field?
Yeah, well, that's where flights do help out.
Okay.
Hopefully, you're minimizing the time that you are traveling. That's
Yep.
that's the goal. We're trying to. I think that's always something we think about and try and prioritize is the academic experience of our athletes, and really it's giving them time. If there's anything a WashU athlete is poor in, it's time poor. We've got to make sure that they've got enough time to be able to accomplish the things they want in the classroom, in the athletic arenas or on the field, and then what they want in their social lives as well. Be able to balance those 3 things. I think that's what makes this place great.
Yep.
And so there are going to be some longer bus trips, and if anybody who's coached at WashU would tell you if you walk in the back of a bus at WashU on a football trip, there might be some guys, in a study group or, from a business school or pre-med group or engineering. We've had guys, studying calculus in the hotel on a Friday night or Saturday morning when we wake up. That's kind of up to the individuals. They're very motivated and driven
Yep.
individuals, and so I don't have to necessarily set up a study table for them on the road. They'll accomplish that. They'll get it done. But I think the other part is just adjusting our schedule to make sure that they have the Sundays off when we return, so that they can jump back into their academic load and prepare themselves for the week. Becomes a priority for us as a program.
Yeah, that was one of the cool things. My son was a pretty high level soccer player. He'd gone over in France and studied at one of the soccer academies there. He got injured towards ACL near the end of his junior year, so it ended up not really being an option for him to go much further. But we went and talked to Case Western, and he asked him, were any of the players, either pursuing, D1 opportunities for transfer portal or possibly even professional. And he said, no. He said, you're going to see these guys studying in study groups a lot more than talking about,
Yeah.
professional soccer. And we left, and I'm like, that's what you want to hear, man. You're going to school for school. And
Yep.
this, soccer is a big bonus, and that's great. But that's one of the things I admire so much about not just UAA schools, but the schools where academics is as important as the athletics. You know, you don't see it as much as I wish you used to. The academic All-American list, which are always really important, and especially to a program like WashU, but also All-Americans as well. So
You bet. Yeah, I think the goal at a place like this ought to be that you're making this the best 4-year experience you can for these guys.
yep,
And
absolutely.
I want it to be the highlight of their life to that point. I'm hoping they go on and do much better things and greater things and enjoy a long life. But for these 4 years, I want this to be just a tremendous experience. I want it to be the best 2 hours of their day
Yeah.
when they're playing football. So that's what this college athletic experience ought to be.
One of the cliches around coaches, and I've heard it, I mean, I'm 60, I've been watching sports my whole life, is that the really great athletes struggle in transitioning to coaching. Because it's I don't know, I've never done it, but it's that idea that they're so great, some things come so naturally that it's hard to teach others some of that greatness. You were an All-American quarterback. What were some of the lessons that you had to learn? You talked about making, I'm sure an exaggerated, millions of mistakes early. What are some of the most formative mistakes that you made as you transition from the side, from a player to a coach?
It's funny your statement about the better players sometimes not making the best coaches. I remember Larry Kimbaum bringing that up when I was talking about going into coaching, and I was fortunate I wasn't a very good athlete, right? I mean, it was easier for me to transition, and I think part of that was like I had to work to be able to do the things that I could do, in football or any athletic endeavor, and so probably the biggest challenge for me is just like I lived my football experience. You know what I mean? And there are some people who love it and there are some people who like it. And I have trouble being around people who just like it.
Yeah.
That's my biggest challenge and
Hmm.
and always has been, because that's how I got by as an athlete, right? I mean, it was a core part of what I was and what my experience was going to be. And so I just, make an effort to be able to recruit people here to the program who they don't have to live it, but they've got to love what they're doing. And I
Yeah.
think the more people I can surround myself here with, the more successful we're going to be. Because it's just fun showing up to work every day, and they'll get better because they'll pour themselves into it. I think that's one really special thing about WashU is that you do have these individuals who have chosen this place because of the degree they're going to get, this life-changing education. And I've watched that happen to people I went to school with, and then I get a chance to coach. Like this place is powerful. But I think what's unique is that these guys come to school here, want to be pushed in the classroom or in the labs or wherever that, but they also want to be pushed on the athletic fields, and they want to be
Yeah.
great in football or basketball or whatever sport they're playing. And that is a really special part of WashU. Like you don't have to let your academics take a back seat or your athletics take a back seat. Like you can do them both, and you can have an active social life here. I think that's a
Yeah.
really cool part of the experience.
Wasn't going to get to this question. I have one more around football, but you talked about active social life. Tom and I have often talked about hanging out on Del Mar, going to the record stores. If you have an athlete come in, like what's a place that you tell them they have to go check out around WashU?
Yeah, so I think we're so blessed to have so many great things around our campus. So you can go to Forest Park right out the front of
Yeah.
campus, and there's a lot of great academic institutions around the country that are in not great places
Yeah.
in the cities, and I think St. Louis gets a bad rap sometimes, and so for a recruit to be able to see Forest Park is a
Hmm.
powerful thing. But then we will always recommend that they go eat on the Del Mar Loop and
Yeah.
experience what we consider to be college town, because I don't think every campus has that within walking distance of their place. So, I'm gonna recommend a good barbecue place, Salt and Smoke down there if they're looking for barbecue, or if they want to go grab a burger, they can go over to Blueberry Hill and get a little bit more of the history of the place. Fitz's right next door, across the street from Blueberry Hill, makes great root beer floats and has a huge menu. And so, I mean, there's a million places they can go eat and just experience a place while they're on the visit and see the concert venues and bars and restaurants and just college life that's happening down there.
Yeah, and I agree with you completely. WashU is such a cool setting because you got a more eclectic neighborhood, and the Del Mar Loop on one side. You have a very nice neighborhood. I think it's Clayton,
Hmm.
right over there. And then you, of course, as you said, you have this, famed park right in front of you that's so beautiful and open. A lot of the other premier institutions are in a little bit tougher neighborhoods, with Duke being one of them. At times, Durham can be kind of a rough place. I only mention that because that's where I work.
Hmm.
Do you have a question about how you watch football? So I've been watching football my whole life. If you get the chance to just watch for pleasure, is there something you're watching different than the usual fan? Is it just sort of ingrained you to, check out the defenses, or are because for me, I'm watching the ball snap to the quarterback and then watching the play unfold. Every once in a while, someone in the room will go, "Did you see what that linebacker did?" And I'm like, "Nope, I was watching." I mean, is there a
Yeah.
different way as a coach that you watch football?
Well, first of all, I just love to watch it. I
Yeah,
mean, I used to drive my wife nuts when I remember being at Minnesota State. I'd want to watch, come home from a long day at work and watching practice film afterwards, and I'd want to watch the Tuesday night MAC game, for Ball State versus Northern Illinois, and had
right.
no interest in it, and I'd want to watch it. So I just love watching football, and I think part of that is I don't get too tied into watching like scheme and the adjustments people are making. I just like watching good football, and probably like watching college a little bit more than NFL because of
Yeah,
it's just a little bit more unique with each program.
right.
It's not as homogenized,
Yeah,
although the NFL's become a little bit better in that from that perspective, in my view.
yeah,
Um, so I like probably later in my life here, I've started watching a little bit more scheme and how people adjust to things, and that's fun. I enjoy going back and watching games where I can slow it down and watch those types of things, right? And so I
right.
watch a lot of college football replays during the off season of a program that I really like or how they attack people, and just watch their entire season and just see how they're making adjustments from week to week.
Hmm.
That's fun for me. But there's nothing like that, just the passion, of college football fans and the stadiums they're playing in and all that good stuff. I mean, that's fun for me to watch.
This is a stretch of a question, but I'm going to ask anyway. This will segue into our playlist. What kind of music is most played in your locker room? I assume it's by the players, but is it just all over the place, or do you guys have a soundtrack that you crank up either before games or key moments?
Yeah, so the players completely control the music in the locker room.
Okay.
And so it's I mean, it's a very diverse
Yeah.
music. It depends who gets there first and hooks into the speakers, I would say. But if it's a game day, there's a lot of rap
Yeah.
that's on there. That's pretty common across the country.
Yep.
But if it's a normal Tuesday, Wednesday practice, it might be some country in there. It might be some Michael Jackson or Prince playing on it, or I've hooked him into Stevie Wonder. I play a lot of Stevie Wonder practice. So, but we get out on the practice field and we've got a speaker we'll roll out, and it's usually controlled off my phone. And so what I've tried to do is just give them access to creating some playlists, and I just have to make sure they're clean, just so I'm covered with my
Right.
bosses. And
Yeah.
we're in the middle of campus, so it's blasting across campus at maybe 6:30 in the morning on Tuesday or 4:50 in the afternoon on Wednesday. And so I want to make sure that we're not going to get ourselves into trouble. But I'm a big believer in having music at practice. I think it makes it, there's more energy. It's more fun. I want them to kind of get into that a little bit.
Big part of our guest interviews, we do a playlist with our guests. And Aaron has suggested a really great topic, I think, top 90s grunge. And this is one we've not done. And Tom's not here, but I'm gonna go ahead and I have his list in front of me. I'll go ahead and add it. So you do the first song, I do second, Tom does third, and we'll go through until we have 10 for the playlist. And do you want to kick it off with your first choice for the playlist?
Sure. I mean, it's hard to kind of
It
come up with
is.
the topics because I'd go back and listen to some of your stuff and see what's been done, and I had a million different ideas, and I'm probably not as creative, but I was struggling with it. So, but 90s grunge is something I like. I was in college during this phase, and I think that's where your music is kind of formed,
Oh
what
yeah.
you're listening to. So my friends and I from college still listen to this stuff and send different videos of different songs out there that we loved. So I guess I would start things off like I think there's probably four bands that I love. Then I think they're the kings of grunge, and
Yep.
I would start off with Pearl Jam, which is my favorite band, and go with their first album, 10, and maybe a lesser known song and release that I love listening to at work. I'd listen to it every day. You could hear it coming out of my office as I kind of go through watching film and scripting a practice, but kind of nice, relaxing, low key song from the grunge era.
I had to look through what you and Tom did. I'm usually the last one to update, and I tried to fit in the gap. So my first one is by Screaming Trees, which I think were sort of the next tier down. I remember buying this album as I was into Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains. I don't want to ruin it for you, but and the top bands, I kept trying to push out further and further. And Screaming Trees was one of the few that I was able to get into. They were highly respected by critics, but not as popular as the top bands. So the song I chose was Nearly Lost You. It was nice to get back. I was also into grunge. I like that sort of heavy, distorted sound that some of the grunge will have. It's a little bit closer
Mhm.
to that alternative and metal combination. I'm a little bit closer on the metal side. So Nearly Lost You by Screaming Trees from their 1991 album. Tom went with a band Local H, the song Eddie Vedder. As the album is from That band is from Zion, Illinois, so he went local, which he tends to do. I do not know that band, and I have not listened ahead of time, so we'll have to. I'm gonna have to. I probably should have crammed a little bit more before I shared Tom's, but when we get him back on, I'll ask him to give a little update on that local band.
Love the title. I'll
I
have
do
to
too.
listen
It's
to
a
it.
great time.
Yeah.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
should have listened to it. That brings us to your second song, which ironically is has Eddie Vedder involved. So
Yeah, I would for me it would be a combination of Soundgarden and Pearl Jam in Temple the Dog.
yep.
Hunger Strike.
Oh
I
no.
love
Yep.
love the song and love the video, love everything with it. I love the combination, the voices with Chris Cornell and Eddie Vedder.
Yeah.
Um, it's a constant play for me.
Yeah, Temple of the Dog. I was thinking last night, I was reading an article. Of course, when you talk about something, at least for me, I'm on Google, I then get 10 articles about that very thing that I was just talking about. And I got one about super groups. I think in a future episode, Tom and I are going to do top five super groups. And this Temple of the Dog definitely qualifies
Yeah.
as a grunge super group. Great choice. So I've put this song on another playlist. And it's this type of band always intrigues me. It's Mother Love Bone, the song Crown of Thorns, which is one of my all-time favorites. And it was one of those bands that's pointed to as potentially, being able to help grunge evolve into a different direction. But unfortunately, the lead singer died young. So Mother Love Bone ended much too soon. But this has a little bit more of an uplifting feel, a little bit. It's got a little bit closer to sort of the hair metal that was still going on in the 80s, but definitely grunge like. And it's one of my favorite songs, as I said, of all time. And it's too bad that they weren't around a little bit longer because they were doing some stuff that I think was going to lead to an even bigger and better sound, not only for them but for that musical movement. So, but can't alternative histories don't work, so
Mhm.
it didn't happen. All right, Tom went with Hole for his second song. The song he chose is Malibu, and he noted, which may offend you, that he actually liked Hole better than he did Nirvana back then. So a little, I believe that was Courtney Love was the lead singer
Yeah.
for, and obviously in related to Eddie Vedder, or no, not Eddie Vedder, sorry, Kurt Cobain. I've not listened to Hole a whole lot, no pun intended there, but uh, glad that Tom went a different direction as well. So that brings us to your third song and the seventh song on the playlist.
I'm starting to feel a little boring because I'm going with some kind of
Nah.
standards, not straying off the path much, but like my third band that I probably listen to the most would be Alice in Chains, and they've got a lot of harder stuff that I
Yep,
really liked probably back when I was a lot younger, but I think it was an EP album. Their Jar of Flies
yep.
was a lot softer hits that I just enjoy listening to. And Nutshell is really popular right now. People trying to play guitar, and
Yeah.
I just think it's really creative and relaxing to listen to.
And you shouldn't feel boring. If you had not chosen some of these bands, I would have chosen them. I just
Okay.
had, you chose the Mount Rushmore, and these are the ones that I listen to the most. So Mother Love Bone, I've listened to a lot. Screaming Trees, I definitely had to plug in. And then this last one, I went with something that was probably considered post-grunge, but it's a band, Veruca Salt, which has a female lead singer, and the song Seether, which is just really, really catchy for me and pretty heavy and a fun song, and named after the Willy Wonka character. So you got that going for you. So
Which I don't think I
Tom's,
realized until I watched the movie again and
yeah,
saw the name. And yeah,
I know.
yeah,
I'm the exact same way. I was
yeah.
like, I think I looked it up. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It was in Willy Wonka or what, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Tom went with a band that I love, and he said it's probably not grunge, but they were from Seattle, so he's going with them. The President's United States of America, which was a really fun band. The song "We're Not Gonna Make It," which is also a very fun song. So even if it's not grunge, it's a great addition to the playlist and one that'll liven things up a little bit. They are one of my favorite. I don't know if they're underappreciated, but it's kind of cool that I think the lead singer's gone in to do more children's music these days. I always wondered
Hmm.
what happened to them. Their songs were kind of childlike because he had like the song Kitten and other stuff that was a little odd, but always very catchy. So, all right, well, that'll bring us to your fourth and the last song on the playlist.
My last Mount Rushmore is Soundgarden.
Soundgarden,
I
great.
went with a little harder song in Rusty Cage, and I picked it because it's probably the Soundgarden song. If I went to my playlist or the songs I have on my phone, that's the song I probably listen to the most, and probably happens to because of practice. It's a little harder edge to it. The only thing I feel bad is leaving Nirvana off this list, and it just
Yeah.
probably is. If I'm looking at the staples of grunge, I didn't pick them. I put Temple of the Dog on instead, but those are kind of my favorite bands.
Well, I wasn't even paying attention. I just assumed that Nirvana was on there. Otherwise, I would have snagged a Nirvana song myself. So
Yeah,
that was an oversight on my part. So this list we'll call probably top 90s grunge. It'll be on all the streaming services, released on the same week that this episode is. And I think this will be a really good one. I haven't thought about gone back to grunge in a while, so this was a nice exercise for me. It's too bad that
yeah.
Tom's not here to defend his choices because I probably didn't do him justice.
He's got some interesting ones. You'll have to
He
come sit in
does.
my office. You get to listen to grunge all the time in there. I think the
Well, you know, I want to thank you personally for joining. This is the first interview I've done by myself. Tom has done several himself, and you made it as easy as possible. So I appreciate that. Very impressive. I need to do a little bit more to follow WashU. I went there for a couple years, did not graduate, but my heart's always with WashU, and I know Tom. So maybe we'll come out to a game next year and cheer on the Battling Bears. You're doing some really great stuff there, and it's a pleasure to have you on our podcast.
love it, love it. September 12th is Alumni Day, I think. So come on out, enjoy us
All right.
playing a game against DePaul.
Thanks so much, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite. This is fun. You guys do a great job with it. It's fun to listen to.
And that was Chris's interview with Coach Aaron Keene from Washington University in St. Louis. Really sorry I missed that one. I would have had a million other questions about WashU football, but I thought that went really well. And I hope we can have him back when the Battling Bears win their conference championship in the new conference next year. Now we're ready for Loft of Wisdom.
You better open up your eyes, baby, because fools do get wise.
So, Loft of Wisdom is when Tom and I basically choose quotes. Usually they line up with the theme of the episode. And I think in this case, we both did that. All these quotes will be on our website and not carved into our bed lofts, which is how this thing originally started way back in college.
Well,
So, what you got?
you haven't seen my bed in my room currently, so
That's true.
you don't know whether I've been doing that or not. My wife is pissed.
Yeah, I figured Dawn would have complained about it when she was on the episode, so or on the show.
So my quote for the Loft of Wisdom is from everybody's favorite TV coach, Ted Lasso, from season 1, episode 8. The quote is, "Be curious, not judgmental." The scene was the one when Ted challenges the asshole of the season, actually the asshole of the whole series, Rupert, and Ted challenges him at darts, and the guy is just a prick to him, and it turns out Ted is really good at darts.
Oh, yes, I've seen that.
I love that scene. I'm not the only one, of course. It's probably one of the most rewatched scenes I imagine in the whole series. The point of the quote is that you should ask questions and seek to understand things rather than just jumping to conclusions or criticizing, which is obviously a very good trait for a coach and a very good trait for a human. And that is my quote, which will be on our Loft of Wisdom.
Very nice. You might have beat my quotes, but I love my quotes. I've said this quote 1,000 times. Do you remember back when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sucked?
Yes, when they wore the creamsicle colored
Yes.
uniforms, I do.
And John McKay was the coach. One of the best, like, I mean, nobody could have dealt with that, like, just terribleness better than he could have. And one of the best quotes ever, he was asked after a game what he thought about his team's execution during yet another poorly played game. And he said, "I'm in favor of it."
I forgot about that quote. You're right. That's on the Mount Rushmore of quotes. That shouldn't even go on a bedloft. That should go up in stone somewhere.
And I've said it over and over again. I'll be watching like the Bucks or something, and I don't know. I just find it was just perfect. It was like he was a funny guy, and
Yes, he was.
I think he was a decent coach. He was just saddled with a really lousy team.
Yeah, that's the team. We actually, and I don't think you were with me, but I want to say senior year, which was one of the last years the Cardinals played in St. Louis. They played a final game of the season. I got tickets somehow because I think they were selling them for about $5 and watched the Cardinals play the Buccaneers, and the loser was going to get the first pick
Yeah.
in the next year's draft, and they referred to it as the Vinny Bowl. And that's how the Buccaneers got Vinny Testaverde. So,
Yeah, that worked out great.
yeah, exactly. Didn't really do the job. And then the Cardinals left a couple years later and never to be seen in the Midwest again. Production.
All right, that is going to take us to post facto.
It's a mistake. It's a mistake.
So post facto is a segment where Tom and I will correct mistakes from previous episodes, complete thoughts, or just fill in our listeners with some new information that we think you might find interesting. And I think that's what we have this week.
Yeah, this is an interesting post facto. First of all, it is one of our favorite kinds because it's an email from a listener. We have a listener named Craig, who is also a fellow Washington University alum, although significantly younger than we are. And he discovered us kind of midway through our current run as a podcast, and it sounds like he's been listening to episodes going forward and going backwards. So this is truly a post facto because he had a couple comments on episodes that aired. One of them is relatively recent, and one of them was quite some time ago. The recent one was our premiere episode of season 11, our tribute to Rob Reiner. He wrote a nice long email with a number of comments, including talking about the score of the movie. And apparently Rob Reiner wanted Mark Knopfler to score The Princess Bride, and Knopfler agreed to do it only if Rob Reiner put something from the movie Spinal Tap in the movie The Princess Bride. Now, if you know both those movies, it seems like it would be kind of hard to find something. But what they ended up doing is on the wall of Fred Savage's bedroom, there is a USS Coral Sea hat, which is the hat that Reiner wore as Marty DeBurgi in Spinal Tap, and it's hanging on the wall in the kid's bedroom in The Princess Bride, which is a piece of trivia I never knew. So thanks for that information, Craig, on Rob Reiner. And he also then went way, way back. I can't even remember how far back the episode was, but we talked about Prestige TV in an episode I think we called Fancy TV. And he agreed with us about The Wire. We talked a bit about The Wire. But he also made a recommendation for a show I never saw, which I was curious to know if you had seen it, called Southland. Did you ever watch Southland?
Is that the one where they're undercover, like the beach, like the surfer group? Or am I totally making that shit up?
I think you might be making that up. I don't know for sure. I vaguely remember the title of it, and I didn't actually look prior to recording today to see exactly what it was about, but I'm going to put it on my list because I feel like if Craig knows and likes The Wire and has the information he has on Princess Bride, I'm going to go with his recommendations.
It's not what I said at all. So
I feel like it was a cop thing, and I think it was probably L.A., set in L.A. is my guess.
yeah, that makes sense.
Most
I was close
importantly,
though. I think mine's called Graceland.
oh,
Southland, Graceland.
yeah, those are both words in the English
Yeah.
language.
No, they both have land in it.
They both have land in it.
Is Graceland where Elvis lived?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why they call it Graceland because it's definitely a beach movie.
Yeah, I don't think there's any beaches in
No.
Graceland or near Graceland. I don't know. Most importantly, we are happy to get emails. And thank you, Craig, for your email. Keep listening to us, keep commenting. And we invite all of our listeners to email us at thirdsongin@gmail.com. And we can talk about your stuff and your ideas and your thoughts.
Really appreciate you writing us. We wish more people would. And you would be on a future episode. That's what we do to you.
See?
So,
So keep that in mind.
yeah.
Our next segment is staff picks.
Randall, just around the corner from you.
Staff Picks is new stuff. One way or another. It's either new TV shows, new movies, new songs, which is often what it is for me. It can be truly new or new to us. What do you got this week, Tom?
So recently, my family and I have been on a kick of going to see morning matinee movies at the theater. So we've been I'd say 3 out of the last 4 weekends on either a Saturday or Sunday, we've gone to a film at 9 or 10 a.m., which is great because there are very few people there, obviously, and you get to watch a 2-hour movie and then basically still have the whole day in front of you. And it's particularly great for someone who can't stay up past 10 o'clock because I got to find somewhere to watch my new movies. What's weird about this staff pick is I'm not recommending a movie that I've seen in the last couple of weeks, but rather a trailer I just saw last weekend. There is a new film coming out starring Tom Cruise called Digger. It is being billed as a comedy, and as far as I'm concerned, that remains to be seen. But the trailer that they have put out, and there's a couple of them, but there's one which, if you look it up on YouTube, it basically says Tom Cruise retrospective trailer. And it is a trailer that, if I'm not mistaken, has clips from every single film Tom Cruise has ever made. And so it goes, all the way back to All the Right Moves. It goes all the way forward to, cameos he's had in movies. It is absolutely amazing. It's a solid, it's got to be 3 or 4 minute long trailer, and it just pops from movie to movie. Some of them you see multiple scenes from, but it's just insane to realize how many movies this guy has been in and how many great performances he's done. And the note I made when I realized I was going to recommend a movie trailer for staff picks was find it on YouTube, and when you watch it, I dare you not to think, that fucker may be crazy, but man, he's made some great movies. It is excellent. So I'm not recommending Digger yet because I can't decide whether that movie is going to be any good. But just go look at the trailer because it is really, really cool to look back and see just the contributions that Tom Cruise has made as an actor to film. It's awesome.
And even when he's miscast, which I would argue he was horribly miscast for Reacher, it was still an entertaining movie. Like he's a good enough actor to pull all this stuff off. And I don't think I've ever seen a movie of his where I've been like just hated it. I mean, and they're generally entertaining even if you don't love them. And I think that's a tribute to him because there's very few actors you can say that because everyone makes a dud and he's made some that aren't great, but I think I've seen some of those and I still watched them all the way through because he's fun to watch.
Yeah, he is definitely a movie star, an all caps type movie star, and especially when it comes to action films, even the dumbest of action films, if he's in it, I get sucked in. And I love his sci-fi stuff. And Reacher's a great example because I hadn't read the books. I didn't realize how miscast he was. But I rewatched both of those movies. He made 2 Reacher movies so far, and I rewatch them when they're on because he's just so much fun as that character. He just does a great job. Anyway, trailers, you got to watch that trailer. It's amazing to.
All right, not nearly as all-encompassing as that trailer, but I went with a song. You may be shocked. And I went with one that I thought I was afraid you might pick. But I think this song exemplifies you and me almost perfectly. It's got Jeff Tweedy and Trampled by Turtles.
There you
Tweedy
go.
is your boy.
Yep.
I like him. Haven't stuck with him. Like when the split happened, I went more the Jay Farrar side of things, fully admitting that Wilco and Tweedy probably put out better. I would say they were more of a influential type of band, whereas Farrar sort of just stuck with his Americana thing, and we're gonna have a future episode where we talk about best voices for us, and I think Farrar is one of those. He's got
Absolutely.
his voice is an instrument, and he doesn't even have to sing logical lyrics. His voice can pull off just singing the alphabet. But this song just was released. It's called Love is Everywhere, Beware by Tweedy and Trampled by Turtles. Trampled by Turtles have risen probably into my top five for sure. Well, for sure the top 10, maybe the top five of favorite bands right now. I saw them live at an outdoor festival. They just tore it up. They were
Yeah.
fantastic. Just a really great live show. And I've been going back and listening to more and more of their music. Just a fantastic band and really cool that they got together with Tweedy. I like this song a lot. And curious if this is just a one-off or if maybe they're gonna. I don't know if Tweedy's doing something with other bands or Trampled by Turtles are, but I'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I actually heard that song came out. I still haven't listened to it for some reason because you're right. I usually at least want to take it into account if he issues something new. He's got all kinds of weird side projects. He did something that was just with his son.
Yeah.
He still does stuff with Wilco, and I think Wilco was touring last summer anyway. Not sure. I haven't listened as much to Trampled by Turtles, but I'm also very curious and looking forward to listening to that one.
Well, that brings us to what we like to consider the core of Third Song In, our playlist picks. Tom and I do a playlist for each season. We do a playlist when we have a special guest like we did this week. These are the two songs that we're going to add to the season 13 playlist. Why don't I start? I tried to stick with the grunge theme, but took it a little further. And I had multiple choices. There's many versions of the song out there, but I went with Chris Cornell's version of Nothing Compares to You, which is a Prince song, probably made most famous by Sinead O'Connor. But I went with a live version he did in 2015. Cornell was, of course, the lead singer of several important grunge bands, and post-grunge. I mean, Soundgarden was the direct connection to grunge. He was in Audioslave, and there was one other important band, Temple of the Dog, he was in as well. This is just him singing, and makes you realize what a great voice he had. It's also sad he has there's a version where his daughter sings with his recorded voice because Cornell passed away too young. I think I've done that song previously, so I just went with the live version he did in Sirius XM Studios in 2015. It's a great song. He was a great voice, and it ties in enough to the grunge theme that I was comfortable with it.
Yeah, I have seen that. I've watched that video, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Or at least he might. I don't know if he did it more than once, but I've seen it, and you're right. That's a great song anyway. It can make a mediocre singer sound good. But if you got a real voice, it's an astounding song to listen to. So
Yeah.
that's a great one. And my pick is a little different. I certainly tried to stick with the whole grunge approach. I picked a band that I think I probably was made fun of for listening to. They were referred to as Nirvana in pajamas. I think they were all like 15 when they were famous, or when they made their album Frog Stomp, and that's Silverchair. I want to say they were Australian, and they were definitely they were just latching on, frankly, to a trend that they had, I'm sure they listened to Kurt Cobain and, they listened to Pearl Jam, and they sound a lot like a bunch of kids trying to sound like those guys. But I got to tell you, I really like that album. And the song I picked is Tomorrow, which comes from that album. I really enjoyed them. I never listened to another album after that one. They faded, I think, pretty quickly. However, I almost put them on the playlist that we made with Aaron, and decided to pull that one out and save it for our season playlist. So Both those songs will be on Spotify, on Apple Music, on Amazon Music, YouTube Music, wherever you stream your music. You should be able to find them. Search for a Third Song In playlist for our special playlist, and just look for Season 13, Third Song In, to listen to these two songs.
Good choice. I don't remember them, but with the reference to Nirvana and Pajamas, I think I got to go listen.
Yes, you. I specifically remember you making fun of me for listening to that at one point.
Oh, good. Well, we want to thank Coach Keen again for joining us. I was a little nervous about doing the interview. I think it turned out all right. And Coach Keen is a really inspiring and interesting guy. I'm curious to see how they do in this new league. But the WashU football program's in really good hands with Coach Keen.
Yeah, I am so sorry I missed the actual interview, although I have spoken to Aaron on a number of other occasions. And I was hopeful that he would be a good interview, and frankly, having listened to it already, he was. And I thought, you did a great job. I thought he's an easy interview because he's a bright guy, and he's got an interesting take, I think, on coaching and college sports in general. So you can find the Washington University Bear schedule and lots of other information about Coach Keen and his team at washubears.com/sports/football. We will post a link to the Washington University football program on our website. If you look to our As Mentioned page, you will find links to WashU and WashU football.
All right. Third Song In is recorded in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Joliet, Illinois, and St. Louis, Missouri.
Please email us your questions, your comments, your thoughts, your suggestions to thirdsongin@gmail.com. If you do it, we might put you on the show.
Check out our website, thirdsonginpodcast.com. I find all kinds of stuff on there, including links to the episodes, to our blog, and in this case, to the links about Coach Keen and the WashU football program.
Please follow us wherever you listen to your podcast. Rate and review us. Post reviews. It apparently helps get the word out there. But most importantly, rate us. If you have stars, we want them. Give us your fucking stars.
You know what? We will know when it's time to stop recording this when I stop laughing at that stupid joke.
Yeah, could be any day now.
Good. Or it could last forever because I've been laughing for 13 seasons. We ask you to go share our playlist. We just put together a great playlist focused on grunge with Coach Keen. We're also adding to season 13. They're all on the usual streaming services. I don't know if stars are involved, but I echo what Tom said. Give us your fucking stars and share our playlists. That's the way to promote Third Song In, because Tom and I aren't doing it very well. We need your help.
We definitely need your help. Speaking of help, we have a social media presence on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky. Please follow us on those social media platforms for information about the podcast, but more importantly, for information, dates, details, and releases from all of our past and future guests.
We're also on Substack, which is focused on writing and blogs. Tom and I take turns writing a blog each week. You can find it on Substack. In fact, you can subscribe to it on Substack. If you do that, Friday mornings, you'll get the latest blog right in your inbox. So that'll help us out too. If you could read that and share it, or don't even read it, just share it. So.
You should read it. It doesn't take long to read. They're not long.
It doesn't. They're not long. That's true.
You've been listening to Third Song In with Chris Derrickson and Tom Polachek. Thanks for listening.
I don't have any of my shit in. Fuck, I thought I did this.
Please enjoy what? Please enjoy something. I'm getting there, man. I promise. We're going to use every bit of the 20 minutes you have left. Let me try one more time. I was like, while I was talking, I felt like I was fucking mangling things. And I was like, oh, Chris, please step in because I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. I have no idea what I'm saying. Please help. Help me, please.
Help me.
Help. I was trying to, I looked into the camera. Hey, man, help. Can you see? Like the fucking, like I was a hostage. I'll just blink with Morse code. Help me, please.